Hello and welcome to yet another graph problem. Let us look at the problem statement. You and some monsters are in a labyrinth. When taking a step in some direction, each monster may simultaneously take one as well. Our goal is to reach a boundary square without ever sharing a square with a monster. Okay, so we are having a grid. We are supposed to start from point A. Hash indicates an obstruction, dot indicates a free path, and there are monsters. These monsters are free to move around as well. This sort of a problem is called lava flow problem. We will see why in a second. But let's go ahead and look at the sample test case first. So let us see what happens in the first second. In the first second, the monsters are able to travel to all these locations. Okay, for you it makes a lot more sense to travel right and somehow escape to this location. So in the first second you travel right, meanwhile the monsters have reached all these locations. And this is why I called it the lava flow problem, because try to visualize these monsters as actual volcanic peaks. Volcanic peaks. Now it will make a lot more sense because lava is flowing out of the monsters and all these locations are somehow getting lava filled in 1 second. That will make a lot of sense, even this location. So all these locations are lava filled. In the second, let us go ahead and make a right again. So let us keep going in this direction. So the lava also continues to flow. The lava would have reached this location and also this location. So now this whole box, this location, this entire location is filled and corrupted by lava. The third second, we make a downward movement. Meanwhile, the lava would have reached up till here. The fourth second, we make another downward movement and the lava would have reached all the way till here. In the fifth second, so these were downward movements so far, we make a rightward movement and the lava would have filled the whole grid except this one point. But by then we have made our escape because our destination was a boundary square. So the answer is 5 seconds, RRDDR. So the prerequisites of this problem are of course BFS. Watch the second introductory video if you haven't done it already. Second is BFS on a grid, because as you could see, we were propagating our lava, both lava or rather lavas and our player, both are propagated as BFS on grid. Okay, so go ahead and watch that video if you haven't already. So for this problem, let's try and propagate a few things with BFS. The first thing that needs propagation is all monsters. These monsters can be treated as volcanic sources. The second thing that needs to be propagated is propagate the player. Okay, let us see what's going on. So after first second, our player is able to reach all these locations. Okay, and M is the volcanic source. It is able to reach all these locations. This is what happens after 1 second. Okay, what about the second? In the second, the volcano has reached all these locations. This volcano has reached, or rather sent its lava to all these locations. As you can see, our player is getting squeezed here. Our player is getting squeezed here and is somehow making his way till here. So this is where he'll be in the second. Okay. Similarly, our monsters will continue to leak lava. So we'll be slowly overwhelming the whole grid. Overwhelm the grid. with lava. Okay. Meanwhile, our player is also trying to make an escape. In the fifth second, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the fifth second, our player is here. The lava is here. The lava is here, and our player is here. So what happens is, in the sixth second, he is able to reach the boundary square, and meanwhile, the lava has covered all this location. So he is able to make a successful escape. So to summarize, the way we solve this problem is BFS, all volcanoes, BFS, our player, see if we can reach a boundary square. Eventually what will happen is the whole grid gets filled with lava. That is an important thing to understand. So time is of the essence. We are supposed to take the shortest path, not just any path. Okay, so let us look at the implementation. Most of this will be common to what we have seen before with the BFS of grid. N and M, the number of rows, number of columns. Monster, each monster, because there are multiple monsters, each monster starts out as a pair of row coordinate and column coordinate. Okay, G, this is your adjacency list representation of the grid, and we are again mapping the parents. What does that mean? For this location, the parent is this location. For this location, the parent is this location. Go ahead and watch the BFS on our grid problem, the BFS on the grid problem, if you don't understand the concept of parent and mapping them. So we are mapping a parent. This is our point A, our starting location, and this is of course the description of the moves from BFS grid problem. This is an upward movement, a downward movement, a rightward movement, and a leftward movement. Okay. So there are a couple of things that we need to understand here. Red zone, volcano zone. Let me illustrate with an example. So there is a volcanic source here. Let me label him red. So there is a volcano source here. Our player is here. Now the question is this a valid location? Is this a valid location or not? The answer to that question will depend on time. If we look at time t is equal to 0, this is a valid location. Why? The lava would have only flown to both these points. So time t is equal to 0, this is valid, no problem. What about time t is equal to 1? It is still valid. Why? Because the monster would have reached all these points. What about time t is equal to 2? Time t is equal to 2, it is still valid because the monster would have only gotten so far. But at time t is equal to 3, the whole grid gets filled with lava. So this location becomes invalid. In other words, a given location is valid or invalid based on the time, and a location is valid if we get there before lava. If we get there before lava. As simple as that. So in other words, see what is happening here. This is a boundary condition. So if it is out of bound, return invalid. Fair enough. Let's get that out of the way. Now, what this quantity means is G of xy. Gxy indicates earliest contamination time, earliest lava time. If this earliest lava time is less than or equal to timer. That means what? By this time, lava has flown to the location. Then we return false. Otherwise, we'll return true. Okay, that was the purpose of this G. This G indicates time taken by lava to reach that point. Please understand, all locations are invalid after a particular amount of time. If you take 100 units of time, this whole grid will be filled with lava. That's a very important understanding in lava flow problem. So a location is valid or invalid based on what time it is. Now, next question is a given cell a valid escape point? Let me again illustrate with an example. So these are the boundary squares, correct? So as per the definition of the problem, all these are valid points, correct? Now let us say we are starting here. Is this a valid escape square? Is this location a valid escape square? Again, the answer to that depends on what time it is. What is the time? And why is that important? Let us say there is a monster right here. There is a monster right here. At time t is equal to 0, it is a valid location. At time t is equal to 1, the lava would have flown here. So it's an invalid location. Similarly, this boundary square, at time t is equal to 2, it becomes invalid. Is the location a valid escape point or not? It depends on two things. First thing, is it valid? Definition of valid is it should be within the boundary and time. Lava must not have flown to that location. If it is not valid, it's not a valid escape location. Further, it should be a boundary. So a valid escape point is a lava free boundary. Okay. Now this is where the problem actually gets very interesting. You'll see why in a second. So what are we going to do is that we are going to pre-process the red zones as a function of time. What does that mean? Let me clear this up. So what I'm essentially trying to say is, we will find out, first step is find out when lava reaches where. When lava reaches where. What that means is, all these points, we label them as 1 second. All these points, we label them as 2 seconds. All these points, we label them as 3 seconds, so on and so forth. We will do it first. This is the first step. What is the advantage of doing this step? You know when lava reaches where. So based on this, so once you know when lava reaches where, you can do a BFS on player and see if we can get a path. Okay. This is the heart of this problem, in my opinion. Lava flow problem is different from conventional BFS problem because of the difference between these two implementations. We are supposed to understand which is better. So go ahead and pause the video, look at both the implementations and try to figure out what is going on and which is better. Is A better or B better? Hint, there is only one correct answer. One of them will give you a time limit exceeded, the other would work. So try to figure out which is the better approach. First of all, try to understand what's going on. So pause the video, look at both pieces of code and see if you can figure out what's going on. Okay. I am assuming that you pause the video and give it a thought. So I will show you what is going on. When we are pre-processing the lava flows, we are processing one monster at a time in this case. See what is happening. For auto M in monster, for each monster, we are processing it, we are propagating it. Okay. So what that means is we are starting with an empty queue. I'll slow down and explain what is going on here. We start with empty queue. We take each monster, we push the monster, push monster, and then we propagate it. Okay, that's what is going on in the left hand side. So what that would mean is, let us start with this guy, the first monster. So he can reach all these locations in 1 unit time. He can reach all these locations in 2 unit time. He can reach all these locations in 3 unit time, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So he can reach this location in 9 units of time, this monster. Okay. Now we will process the next monster. When we process the next monster, we realize that this point gets contaminated at the first instance of time itself. So we do a rewrite. Specifically, this is the second column, third row. So we say 3, 2 is not contaminated at unit 3. It is contaminated at unit 1 time. Similarly, all these get rewritten and eventually we will rewrite this to 7. Okay. So the corner square, it gets rewritten to 7. Okay. Let's continue. Now, when this monster tries to propagate, it can get here in 1 second, it can get here in 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. See what is going on here. 7 is rewritten to 5. So originally this was 9, it got rewritten to 7, then it got rewritten to 5. Finally, when the fourth monster is being propagated, it can get here in 1 second, 2 seconds and 3 seconds. So again everything is getting rewritten. So in other words, monsters are rewriting G of row comma column again and again. So the time at which lava can get here, as per this monster we started with 9. As per this monster it said, hey, no need to worry till 9, I can get here in 7. This monster said, no, I will get here in 5. And finally the last monster said, I can get here in 3. So many rewrites. That is why a single source BFS, that is doing one volcano at a time, it will simply not work. So in the second approach, we will pre-process the lava flow, but we will be processing all the monsters at once. All monsters are pushed in queue and all of them are processed together. Okay, and that's why we are calling it a multi-source BFS. A multi-source BFS. So there is no question of rewriting. Why? Because this location, this location, this location and this location, all of them are pushed in queue. So at one instance of time, we process this whole area here, we process this whole area here, we process this whole area here, and we process this whole area here. This is just one instance of time, first instance of time. In the second instance, we proceed and flow the lava to all these locations. In the third instance of time, we flow our lava to all these locations. So see what has happened in the third instance of time. By third instance of time, all this area, it is burning. Okay. The only areas that are left behind that are free of fire are these locations, and by fourth location our entire grid is on fire. So did we do any overwrite? No overwrite. That is why we are supposed to use a multi-source BFS. So look at this again. We are pushing all the monsters here, multi-source. We are dealing with one monster at a time, single source. Okay. After doing this propagation, notice this was a pre-processing step. We pre-processed lava flow. After doing this pre-processing, let us now try to escape. How do we escape? We escape through a valid route. Go back to the previous problem. In the previous problem, BFS on grid, what did we do? We chose a valid route and we determined the single source shortest path. But in this case, whether it is valid or not, it will depend on the time. That's why in this problem, we'll keep incrementing the timer and we'll be checking if the given grid, if the given cell, it is valid or invalid based on this timer. Let's go ahead and submit the problem and see if we can get accepted. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and submit the invalid code first, as in the single source BFS first. If it doesn't work, let us go and submit the multi-source BFS. As you can see, we are processing one monster at a time. This is the single source BFS. Let's go ahead and submit this problem. You will get a time limit exceeded. I have already recorded this video once before. I'm re-recording due to poor audio. So yes, time limit exceeded. And see why the time limit is exceeding. Look at the test case. Look at how all the monsters are scattered across the graph. So we are doing a number of rewrites. The first monster is trying to reach all the way up till, let us say, this location. It is making all those nasty calculations, and the second monster is overwriting it, the third monster is overwriting it, so on and so forth. Total monkey business. Now let's go ahead and make it a multi-source BFS. How do you do that? So now we have made it a multi-source BFS. We are pushing all monsters at once and see what is happening. In this case, we will get accepted. I'm pretty sure because I've done the recording before. So yes, we got accepted in 0.07 seconds. That is 70 milliseconds. We were able to solve this problem. Whereas in the previous case, we were getting time limit exceeded. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I tried very hard to make it interesting. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed watching this video. And press the bell notification icon so that you'll get notified when I upload new videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day.